Keys time.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the KeyZ Method. It's your boy Chris Keys, and you're absolutely in the best spot for music producers, music creators, and entrepreneurs. Today, we tapped in on the KeyZ Method with a special guest, and man, it's somebody I've been wanting to talk to for a while because he's quite like me in a lot of ways. He transitioned from sports to music and doing this thing. But welcome to the show, Pat G.
Yeah. What's up?
Man.
Do a handshake or we?
Yeah, we could do that. Okay. All right, man. So yeah, let's tap in, man, and just really talk about Pat G, man. This is the guy who's man, you've really made a name for yourself out here in Austin, Texas. But also, man, you've done a lot of things before even transitioning to where you are in your music career, rocking with a band, going international. Yeah. But talk to me first because I want to talk to you because we both played sports growing up, and I think you grew up in Temple, Texas, right?
Yeah. Born and raised, Temple, Texas.
Shout out to Temple. Shout out to
Trouble
Temple.
Town, you know what it is.
Man, so is that a football town? Because that's what you play, football and track?
Yeah, definitely. Temple is a big football town. We got 2 state championships. I mean,
gotta rub that in, right?
it's been a while since we won any, but we've been in the state championship game a few times in the last few years or last 10 years or so. So it's a big football town, big sports town. Got a lot of the young cats nowadays and some really good football schools around the country and stuff like that too. So yeah, man, it's one of the reasons they call it Trouble Town is, if you're not in sports, you're probably in trouble. So
probably in trouble,
man.
So so the town kind of influenced you to play football growing up, and so music wasn't a big thing at the time. To you?
No, not at all. I didn't even start rapping or even doing music at all until after high school, like maybe 2010 is like when I first started writing. And so I had some friends that were doing music back then, but it wasn't even big. Like the music scene wasn't big at all in Temple. So yeah.
Okay. So from there you started going to college.
Yeah.
Did you go to college right after
high
school?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went to Temple College actually. I was going for a little bit, and then I was going to school, and I was like, you know what, this is kind of slow. And I was like, I need to make some money. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I don't like being broke or whatever. So it's like I started working at the warehouses and stuff out there in Temple, and I just kind of stopped going to school for a little bit and tried to stack my money up. That's what I was doing for a while. So
man, definitely, man. I think I'm starting to feel like a lot of creators, that at some point in time, they've kind of like, school just is too slow or something. I mean, it all gets to that point, but it seemed like from there, when did you transition to Austin?
Actually coming up in March during South by Southwest. I know I moved here because I moved here the week of South by Southwest. Ooh. But so March in South by South, this year in March will be 7 years since I've been in Austin.
Very nice. So I always say if you've been in Austin more than 5 years, you had a chance to, get the allergies and the cedar. So once you go through that, yeah, you're a real Austinite.
Yeah, facts.
Man, so talk to me like, all right, I'm trying to see like how was your transition from sports to music? I gotta assume, did you do any poems, any stand up stuff? How did that just be like, I'm just gonna start rapping? Like, where did that start?
Man, you know what? I have an older brother. Shout out to my brother DC. He's DC. Rapping. Yeah, he's a big. At the time, I guess you can say back then, 2010ish, 2008, 09 type stuff. Lil Wayne was real hot back then. So Lil Wayne was dropping music like all the time. You know what I'm saying? And so my brother was rapping. He'd been rapping for a while, and it's kind of crazy because I didn't even meet him till I was in high school. You know what I'm saying? So he's one of my dad's kids, and so I was just like really. I've always been a rap head, but I never was like actually doing it myself. And so like, I just started seeing him do it, and I was like, man, I think I can do this too. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I want to start doing this too. So I just started writing, and he was there real supportive of me, and it just kind of coached me up and taught me a lot about what I was doing at the time. So although we had different styles of rapping, I learned a lot from him. So it was around about 2010 when I first started rapping.
Okay. So take it from that, just starting out, you was doing that, kind of getting, I guess the swing of it. Did sports ever play any part of your journey or your transition to music?
Yeah. So I didn't go like straight to school to play sports out of high school. Like it was kind of a little bit later on in my 20s, and I started doing that. But I've always been in sports. I've always been in track or football or something like that. And so Temple has a really great football program. They always have. And so I learned a lot about discipline, character, learning how to be a good man, like through the football program. So a lot of that influenced
Facts.
with who I was, and like growing up without a father, that was that. If it wasn't for that, I probably can imagine where I would be at, where now in life. So, I wasn't doing any sports in college or anything like that at the time, and I was just like straight working, and then I kind of picked up rapping, and then it was like sports is always gonna be a part of me. You know what I'm saying? I'm always gonna be playing flag football. I was just in Florida just 2 weeks ago playing flag football. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
So it's like
okay.
I'm gonna always be doing something like that. I played semi-pro football here in Austin. Shout out to the Extreme, and it's just always gonna be a part of me. And I'm also I'm a kinesiology major, so
Okay, yeah. Shout out to the kinesiology majors. That's mine too, man. Very,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So I mean, you taking that even a step, or you continued that on and actually are training people just on the side and for extra income right now as
yeah.
well.
Actually, that's my only income. That's my well, not my only income. That's my major income right now. I don't even have like what you would call 9 to 5 right now. I strictly just train my clients, and I got athletes that are 9 years old all the way through like 22, 23 in college, and then in elementary school. So I'd hit a big role, a big spectrum of athletes and stuff like that. It's really cool, rewarding, really.
Man, very nice, man. So, hey, if you in the surrounding areas, or hey, we also could do a lot of things online. Where can people tap in if they want to get a workout in with you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Just hit up any of my Instagram, my Twitter, my Facebook at I am Pat _G. I am Pat G. And then y'all come find me. I'm definitely available.
All right, very nice. Hey, so let's transition to music. Like, when did you start to take on? Decide I'm going to do a project or my first song, go in the studio, because that's a big part of I think a lot of artists. They kind of they do shows and they kind of get out there, but they miss the real importance of getting in the studio. So when did you take that step?
Well, like I was saying, like my brother was rapping, and he actually had his own like what we call, he had his own studio. Like he had a laptop, he had his mic, he had his like little mixer thing hooked up and everything. We had the Pro Tools joint and everything. So it was like really cool just seeing him just like go in there and just record what he wanted to do, and he's in there killing it. And then I'm learning how to do stuff too. So back in 2010, I was writing and stuff like that, but I hadn't even it probably took me months to write one verse. You know what I'm saying? Like months, because I was like, I'm so like over analytical with everything I do. I'm real
And you
meticulous.
listen to Lil Wayne. you know, they one the greatest rappers alive.
Yeah.
Who write it? I think he only freestyles or just don't.
Yeah,
I don't even know if he
right.
writes anymore.
He doesn't.
And then you took a month to write.
Yeah.
All right, I just wanted to repeat. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hey, well, we call it humble beginnings, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's actually kind of cool because the way I transitioned into that, I was writing and writing and writing. I was writing all the time, and then I started getting better at it. And I was like, okay, I felt like I was good pinning my words down or whatever. So then when I would rap for my brother, he's like, hey, like you kind of good at this, you know what I'm saying? Right. So I was like, okay, cool. Your family gonna support you no matter what, most of the time. So I was like, I need to get this out to other people. So I finally wrote my first song. It was called Wake Up. You know what I'm saying? And I think the hook was like, wake up, you're alarming me. You keep pressing my buttons, but that ain't harming me. You might be late, but I guarantee you choose to lose if you're snoozing on me. Yeah, like that was my first hook. You know what I'm saying? Like my first hook, I wrote three verses and a hook. And I was like, this is kind of good, man. You know what I'm saying? I was like, for my first hook to be something like that.
Yeah, it's not bad.
And so,
not bad.
I just started transitioning over into watching my brother do his thing and recording. And there's a song I have on my first album called Thinking Music. And I actually had my own studio at the time. So it was probably like 2013, 2014-ish, 2012. And I had my laptop, I had my Pro Tools, mic and everything. And what I was trying to do is I was trying to be like Jay-Z and Lil Wayne and not write anything down. So remember how I was telling you, I was like, it took me forever to write that verse. But now I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and go and I was like, what I was doing was I was piecing the song together. So every day I would come home from work, I would just think about what I wanted to say, hit the record and just spit it. And then I pieced the whole song together like that. And Thinking Music was the first song I ever did like that. And it's one of in my opinion, it's one of my best songs because of the way I did it. And so, I've seen the growth.
Yeah.
Honestly, over the years.
Definitely, man. Hey, so for somebody that's starting out, like that wants to grow and maybe need a little bit of, there's a little gray area or question or maybe a little fear to start their first project. Like, what kind of advice now that you've done, your own single, you have albums now?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think you can share with those up and coming artists?
Honestly, what I would say is to put it out there. So there's a lot of you have a lot of fear going into what you're doing, especially when it's like the first time you're ever doing anything, the unknown, right? And a lot of people get stopped or they sit back and they lose a lot of time, or they lose a lot of they lose a lot of time because they're afraid to put it out. It's like, no, put it out there. If people trash it, let people trash it. If people love it, let people love it. Whatever it is, it's for them to consume. Let them do it. As long as you put your heart into it and you're happy with it, put it out there and just let it be what it is, and then go on to your next thing. You know what I'm saying? That's really what it is, and I think that's what stopped. That's like, if I go back and listen to my music, I have my bodies of work is the demo, a different perspective is my first album, and then I have like an EP mixtape type thing called The In Between, and I just dropped my second album, Whatever It Takes, back in 2019. And so people go back and listen to my whole catalog and they're like, yo, I can literally hear you've gotten better over time. And I think that's one of the things I can really stand on in my career. It's like, yeah, I've gotten better. You can hear my actual growth and my actual flow getting better, and my words getting better too over time. So, if you're out there and you're new, just put it out there. Let people do what and say what they want to say about it. Everybody's gonna have their opinion. Everybody.
Just put it out there. That's facts. I mean, everybody doesn't like Drake. He just got 40 billion streams. I'm just saying. I've never said this before, but as you was talking, like, I think if I can describe it in a way as a funnel. If you take a funnel at the bottom, it's big, and then if you turn it that way, and then as it gets higher, it goes smaller, right?
Yeah, facts.
We're all down here when you start at the ground level in a funnel. And think about that, like, as you got the opportunity to put out more music and have an excuse to how it sounds.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I didn't have a chance to go to a major studio. Oh, man, this is my first song. Oh, man, this is blah, blah, blah. So at the same time, you're growing and learning. You never fail unless you don't learn.
Facts.
So this ground level is for every up-and-coming artist. So don't worry about, I got to put this perfect song out. There is no perfect first song, guys, I'm trying to tell you. And as you grow up this funnel, think about it. The bigger artists, unless you're Russ, but the bigger artists, right, that are like A-class artists, now you're at the advantage or you're at the point of your career where you might can put out one album every so often or a single every so often. You're at that point. You have the attention and your crowd and your fan base. And no matter what you're doing, if you put it out there, there will be a fan base. Trust and believe that.
That's true.
Yeah. So, all right. So moving on to your first album, you start doing shows. Like, how did you start doing your shows at first?
Oh man, the first performance I did was with my brother and this other guy, and we had the song. I think it was like "Keep It 100" or something like that. And we had it was at the Juneteenth celebration. But I started doing shows. I was like really nervous. I think I was like, if I could stand up or whatever, I was like literally just standing in one spot, just like rapping or whatever. I didn't want to move because I felt like if I moved, I would mess up. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, if you see the evolution of my shows and what I was doing, I went from like standing still in one spot to kind of like swaying to like going back and forth to then stepping left to right a few times here and there. And then after that, I started realizing I'm taking over the whole stage, and I was learning how to get better at my craft. Now you see me, I'm jumping up, jumping on speakers, like, you know what I'm saying, performing and stuff like that. So it was definitely, like I said, it's one of those things where you look back and you're like, dang, I really grew over time. So that's great.
Man, I never got to that point. That's when I like, okay, it's 100% producing. Like my first project, my first song we did, I was went out with a couple of my friends and did this song. Like, bro, I wrote the hook, and the hook was so simple. All it was jaw dropping. I was like, it was hype songs back in the day.
Yeah.
So basically, it was like, when you see me at the club, jaw dropping, something blah 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 blah, jaw dropping. So it's like real quick, only like 4 bars.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right. They was like, man, come on, man, you wrote the hook, man. You got to get on stage. I was like, man, I don't know, man. I was so nervous. I wrote the hook, did the beat, everything, and it was like, when it came my turn to say the hook, everybody did their rap. All right, Chris, you get the mic. You know, we had 1 or 2 mics, so he passed it around back in the day. So he passed it to me, and I don't know what happened. Something locked up. When they say backsides get tight, bro. I forgot the whole lyric. Like, everybody was hyping, and just the hook just got quiet. Crickets. Everybody's like, man, bro, you can't get back on stage with us no more, man.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's a new thing when you on stage, though. I mean, that's why I'm really just want to just commend your growth, because I mean it's different when you like in the house, in the studio with the people, your family you're comfortable with. But when you get on stage, I mean, it might not be the Apollo, but it feels like the Apollo. You know, your very first time, it can be frightening. But you embrace the stage, you embrace the lights, you've grown. You started out, I guess, recording to like backing tracks to now you.
Oh man,
you got a band now, right?
Yeah. So let me talk about that real quick. So I started out. I think the first time I ever rapped, or the first few times I was doing it, I had the backing vocals behind me. So I'm like rapping over my vocals. I seen a video of it, and I was like, yo, this is trash. Like, this is horrible. Like, there's no way I'm gonna keep doing this. So I was like, after that, I literally would go over my verse, I'll probably say close to like 50, 60 times before I even performed. You know what I'm saying? And so then I stopped rapping over my vocals. You know what I'm saying? Then I started rapping, clean like that or whatever over the beat. And then the next thing, we were just playing the songs off of our like phones or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. After that, it kind of evolved into I had a DJ.
Okay.
So then or the DJ will be playing it. And then after the DJ, when I moved down here, I had to find like a DJ that I was going to use all the time, because I was performing more often when I got down to Austin. And so then it was DJ IQ, and she was like my first DJ, and like we rocked so many shows together. We probably been in front of thousands of people just doing our thing. We even went to Toronto at one point, you know what I'm saying? So like that's like when I make that international trip. So it was really cool to do that. And then just recently I was like, you know what? The type of artist I am, I want to be able to control more of what I'm doing. And as a DJ, she's great. She's hyping it up. She's like doing her thing. But it's like, I don't really have control. It's like, you just going to play the song, and then she can maybe scratch over here and there, or like maybe some fade out and stuff like that. But I was like, I really want to like have more control over the music that it's behind me, basically.
Bring a bigger dynamic to the show.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I was telling people. I was like, I want a different dynamic. I want a bigger dynamic. And so the next thing you know, it took me all of 2019. I kid you not, all of 2019 to find the correct pieces for a band. And when I tell you, I probably had 5 different like versions of the band that I have now. Mm-hmm. I had about 4 or 5 different versions of it. And so just being able to create that atmosphere, I had to go on Craigslist. I had to go on Instagram, Facebook. I was looking for people like, hey, I need a keyboard player. And now I got a keyboard player. Now I need a bass player, guitar, drummer, blah, blah, blah. And then some people were like, they love the idea, but then they couldn't do it. They like their schedules are, overlapped, or they couldn't do it, or they're already in another band. So you had to deal with that too. And I always say, champions adjust. And so I just had to adjust to that. And I have the band that I have now. Shout out to the Justice League. I call them the Justice League. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to the Justice League. You got De Niro, Matt, Lex, David, Johnny. De Niro, Lex, David, Johnny, David. Yeah. So
man. Shout out to the band, man. I've seen y'all. Y'all be rocking out, man. The energy like stupid crazy.
Yeah, man.
So I mean, I think for guys, anybody that's kind of in that position, maybe you've been doing some shows and be like, man, I want to have a band. Like, I mean, just listen to somebody who, that did it, and somebody that I've been a band member myself. I mean, guys, be willing to put in, the time to find the right pieces. I mean, he just said 6 versions. I mean,
it was crazy.
You could have gave up, been like, man, I just can't find the right band. I'll just go back to what's easy.
Yeah.
And then you have to think about it too. Like, I mean, these guys, they want to do this for a living too. A lot of them, if they're not already. So you got to pay these guys.
Yeah.
That's I think a big point of growth as well. If you want good players and good quality, you don't have to. This is my opinion. You can tell me what you learned from it. Yeah. But as a musician myself, most of the time, if we take on a project, we're probably going to think it's a fun, cool project. Yeah. And guys, music should be all about fun. That's why when we was in school, we used to make beats in the lunchroom because it was fun. That's music, right? So don't lose that in your heart. And if you have the opportunity to make some money and go out, just I think as musicians, just be upfront with us. Be like, hey man, like man, this gig I can only pay, X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
I know it's gonna be a lot of time. We need to get a rehearsal in, but this is what we're gonna be, man. And man, we're gonna grow from there, right? I mean, I think that's fair for a musician instead of just trying to like promise them, man, I'm gonna pay y'all $1,000 your first gig, and then like you don't even have no gigs or something. But I mean, tell me like what did you do to like get a band that you're consistent with, because that they have to like really trust you and continue working with you. Obviously, be fun.
Yeah, definitely. So like I think once I finally got Lex on keys, De Niro on the drums. Actually, David and I had two drummers. David and De Niro were actually drummers, and it was Kevin was on the bass at one point. Mm-hmm. Matt was on the trumpet. Johnny's on the guitar. And so I was like, you know what? Kevin's already in like 2 or 3 bands, you know what I'm saying? So he couldn't really commit to it like he wanted to.
Right.
But he was always there as a resource. He's like, I can't really do it. So then I'm missing a bass player. So then I asked David plays the bass a little bit. I said, David, can you instead of being one of the drummers, can you transition over into being a bass player? Right. And so whenever I had this conversation, when I have these pieces, I was like, look, y'all, I'm working. I know we all work too. I said, I know what it's like to be a musician here, like an artist or whatever. So I was like, I can pay y'all $50 a show. You know what I'm saying? I can pay y'all $50 a show. And if you really break that down between 5 different people, that's $250 I'm paying out of my own pocket. And I said, even if I don't get paid, y'all will get paid.
Right.
I said, because of what I'm doing. I said, I performed so many times. I know my stage presence is great. And so I want y'all to help me take that greatness and go even higher. You know what I'm saying? So it was like they were all with it, and everybody likes the music too. So that was the big thing too. You have to find people that actually like the music and that can play the music. So we were doing rehearsals and stuff like that, and they were down with doing $50 a show. And it was like every show we did, like I was telling you earlier, we ended up getting another show from that show we just did. Yep. So that first show led to another show. That show led to 2 more shows. That 2 shows led us to doing the Bernie show at Empire Control Room, where I had performed there 2 years prior to
Bernie Mac. What are you talking about?
Bernie Sanders.
Okay. You said Bernie. All right, everybody should know Bernie Sanders, man. Shout out to all the memes. Y'all are killing me with him right now. Shout out to Bernie.
Shout out to Bernie Sanders, man. Somebody said he's the not to get political, but somebody was like he's the president where we need but we don't deserve. You know what I'm saying? So, but shout out to Bernie Sanders. But it was a show. Bernie. I had just performed at the Empire Control Room outside 2 years prior to last year, so 2017. I opened up for his name Zeal. Zealy. I opened up for him in Blackalack.
Yeah.
I opened up for them. So I was performing. I promise you I probably had 20, 25 of my fans come out, like people that know me, you know what I'm saying? And he came out, he did his thing. He probably had like 50, 60 people show up, whatever. He killing it, you know what I'm saying? And 2 years later, I perform at the same spot, same stage, and then I'm at the Bernie show. It's literally packed from front to back. There's nothing but there's like shoulder room like this.
That's pretty big venue too.
It is. Yeah, and we were on the outside stage, so it was like packed back to everybody's shoulder to shoulder in there. Before coronavirus. But anyway, so it was like really cool because it's like I was able to take my 5-piece band, go in there, kill that whole show, and get more shows off of that. And then it was right before everything kind of shut down, but it was like knowing that we can go there to any stage and put on a great 30-minute set, 4-hour set, or whatever it may be, it means a lot to me. And I tell my band members all the time, y'all are gonna eat first. If I had to pay out of my own pocket, which I did every single time, here's a story. I kid you not. We performed at the Houston Tilson University, the homecoming.
Okay.
Right? I literally, and I'm not even playing, I paid them. I didn't get paid until like two or 3 days later. I kid you not, I had less than $10 to my name for like 3 days. Because I made sure I had to make sure I paid them. You know what I'm saying? And so like that's once people see that you're loyal to them and that you're gonna take care of them, they're gonna take care of you. So they was always there to do whatever I needed them to do. So shout out to the Justice League, man, for real.
Man, for real, man. Those shows are great confidence boosters, because you pretty much, you putting your money where your mouth is, literally, and betting on yourself. You're betting that, man, I'm going, this $50 is going to increase, and I'll get the gigs when that's impressive, man. I think that's at some point in time the music industry. I mean, you have to get out your comfort zone and bet on yourself, man. So shout out to you and shout out to the Justice League, man, for sure.
Yeah.
So talk about your project that you got going on right now, cause I know I'm on a couple of them things. I got a couple of records on there.
Yeah. So my previous, or like, you know, my latest album is called Whatever It Takes, and you know, the whole concept behind this album was to tell more, like the writing process was to tell more stories. I wanted to be a little bit more up tempo. I kind of even got away from the samples. Like if you listen to my, you know, all of my first few bodies of work, I'm really sample heavy. So I got away from the samples, you know, went a little bit more bass heavy, wanted to tell more stories and like be more melodic and, you know, harmonize and whatnot. So a lot of my songs sound a little bit more singy and stuff like that. But people love that because I listen to the music that I like. It has a lot of singing in it too, but it's like in its proper place. I consider myself kind of a hip hop head. So when I was listening to certain beats and trying to create this or get the sounds that I wanted, I know I met up with you and we linked up and stuff like that. And you actually taught me a really big lesson about like grinding and literally like doing whatever it takes. Cause like when we were talking about like, you're like, hey, I charge this much or whatever for the beats. And I was like when I first heard it, I was like, dang, that's more than I've ever paid for any beat. You know what I'm saying? Like anything at all. So I was like, all right, save these, you know, and I'll come back. And I think it probably took me like two months to even get the money straight. But I came back and I paid you and I was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And so the songs that we ended up creating out of that was Whatever It Takes, which is actually the signature song on the album, with Monique and the Justice League, the actual Justice League song. And so I have videos for two of those three. But I mean, those songs are the ones that people really rock with. They love them. I think I shout you out on every single song except Monique. You know what I'm saying? I'm always shouting you out. You know, Chris KeyZ make the beat slap. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it's just one of those things where I was happy with what I put out, and so I told myself, and this is another thing for new artists. If you grow from one project to another, if you take what you learned and apply it, I feel like you've grown, and that makes it better than the last. And so I took what I learned from my first few projects, and I, you know, did better as far as my flow, my delivery and stuff like that. I feel like I grew, and I love putting out Whatever It Takes. I think it's my best piece of work to date. So,
man, that's impressive, man. I mean, you're right where you're supposed to be. That's confirmation. You're right where you're supposed to be. And I think even just saying that, you putting out two projects. How many you got? 2 projects? 3 projects?
So I have the demo, which is like my first I was just rap. I was pretty much a mixtape. I was just rapping on different beats in the industry. I have my first album, which is called A Different Perspective. I have the In Between, which is like a mixtape / EP, and then I have the second album, which is Whatever It Takes.
Man, I think that's, you know, once you get 3-4 project guys, I mean, you probably don't have to have that much, but, you know, I think people trying to also, I'm just going back to the bands.
Yeah.
You know, if you're trying to get a band, it's hard to get a band when you don't have a project.
Facts.
You know, I mean, you really you don't have to sell so much once you have 3 or 4 projects. Mm-hmm. You know, these guys, musicians want to play. We want to be out there playing. So it's easy they're pretty good. So just give them the CD and be like, hey, these are the songs I want you to listen to. So you made it real easy for musicians to trust you by just putting in the work and having the project and coming to your boy Chris KeyZ to get that sound though.
Sure. No. You are like I said, there's producers, there's beat makers, and I consider you a composer. Like you really take time to put everything together and make it really really articulate, you know what I'm saying, and meticulous with what you do. So I appreciate that. And one thing you said just now about putting in the work, man. Shout out to my band again, because there were times when we would be in practice and like I think I might have I think I have more experience than they do as far as performance. Except maybe Matt. Matt's probably up there. He probably has it's about the same amount of stage performance.
Okay.
I was like, there would be some times where I'd be like on their head. I'm like, yo, this is not right. Like, let's get it right. Like, let's tighten up, because I was like, I don't want to go out there and have a product that's not worth putting out there. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be the band that was like, oh, that band was kind of good, but they need to work on their stuff. I want the band to be like, yo, I want to book that band, or like out of all the bands that were performing that night, I remember that band. You know what I'm saying? Right. So there was times where we really were locked in, like in this. I kid you not, the practice room was probably maybe 3 or 4 feet smaller than this area. So you got 5 people plus me. In a small practice room trying to practice and rehearse and stuff like that, man, and they really put the hours in to do what it takes to get to where we need to be at. So shout out to them again, man. Thank you.
Man, whatever it takes. And talk about your other brand. I mean, you wearing the shirt right now,
Yeah,
Relentless, be relentless. So,
yeah.
I mean, talk about where'd that get birthed from, and where can people find it, and just the whole meaning behind be relentless.
Yeah, you know, be relentless is the brand. I say the phrase is be relentless. We don't just talk it, we live it. Um, it's just different. You know what I'm saying? I think the actual phrase itself just kind of, to me, it means just being able to fight through adversity, continuing to learn, to grow, but being able to adjust to anything that's given to you and then thrive. So a lot of people right now are like out there surviving. And you know what I'm saying? Especially during this pandemic and stuff like that, people are learning how to survive.
Right.
But I don't want to just survive. I want to thrive and whatever it is that's given to me. And so, you know, I believe in God, and I know that He's taking me on this journey, and that I'm trying to do His will and you know, put on for Him as much as I possibly can. And hopefully I can shine my light so it'll glorify Him. And so that's what the brand is about. Y'all can find it. Just hit me up directly on my social media. I'm actually revamping my website and stuff like that. So you can, like I said before, you can find me at IamPat_G. And then hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, and then we'll get it going. I got some tank tops. I got some hoodies, you know. I'm working on some sweats and other things like that too. So yeah.
Man, definitely, man. It's just everything about you, Pat G, is just inspirational. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're, as you said it, you believe, you know, walk through faith, you know, a man of God. So, you know, good things are definitely happening for you, have happening, and I believe will continue happening for you, man.
Appreciate
just
that.
just by keeping that attitude and good energy. So, with that being said, I mean, like, what else? I mean, what's your plan for the future? I mean, how are you gonna roll out? Are you rolling out any more music? You know, you got a couple brands, products. So
Yeah.
what's next for Pat Pat G?
Yeah. So I actually just released a song with my drummer De Niro. It's called "Keep Going." It's out on all platforms, so y'all check that out.
Another positive message, right?
Yeah. Definitely. And it actually, you know, it was actually his idea to create that song because he said that he was inspired by Fight On. So, you know, one of the songs that I created. So it was kind of cool to know that he was inspired by that, and he just created something that I was able to get on too. And so we have that song out. I'm trying to release this year. I'm redoing the way I release music. I want to really get back to just dropping singles and then promoting those singles. So I'm going to release a song at least once a month this year. That's my plan. That's my goal. And maybe towards the end of the year, I might drop a small EP. But I think the way I'm going towards doing things moving forward is probably dropping smaller projects. So instead of like 10 songs, you'll get 5 songs, and then I'll just drop more projects or whatever it may be. But until I hit that next ceiling to where I kind of blow up and you know, I have a bigger audience and stuff like that. But right now I feel like I've done what I need to do as far as like lyrically. I know what I've done. So it's like now I want to kind of not necessarily switch my sound, but I just want to try new things. I want to try different, you know, flows. I want to try different, you know, type of BPMs, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. So that's where I'm at right now. But I'm dropping a song every month this year, and the next song I'm dropping is called I don't even know what I'm gonna call it.
Man, got so much material.
Yeah.
You
No,
dropping
but
something.
it'll probably be On My Knees. Yeah, it'd be like On My Knees, or maybe something else. I don't know what I'm calling it, but it's the sample in the song is really cool. It's like it's just really cool, and that's actually going to be featuring the Wild Prophets, which are my homeboys that I met in Toronto a few years ago, but they live on the East Coast. So shout out to my guys from the East Coast out there, Wild Prophets. Shout out to them. But we're dropping that one next month.
Shout out to Toronto Wild Prophets, right?
Yeah.
Hey, man, when y'all in Austin, you know we got you. Man.
Oh yeah.
Hey man, well look, man, this has been a great conversation to chop it up with you and just to let everybody know a little bit more about you, man. Appreciate you coming through, and tell them one more time where they can find you at online. And I'll put some links below in the descriptions too, but one more time for the social media handles. Yeah.
So you can find me everywhere at IamPat_G. Usually if you just type in IamPatG, you'll be able to find me, but you know, you can the exact handle is at IamPat_G, and that's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I think I even got a TikTok, but I don't really get on there very much. So yeah, check that out, man. I'm on YouTube. I'm on all the streaming platforms. You can check me out, you know, there. So just look up Pat G. Keep Going. That's my latest record out.
That's what's up, man. Well, y'all know what time it is, man. Thank you so much for tapping in. And if you're watching this all the way to the end, be sure to definitely subscribe and share with all your friends. But until next time, stay creative, be blessed. I'll see y'all at the top.
Just like that. Never forget it. Be relentless. We don't just talk it, we live it.
It's KeyZ time.